Okay, today we're going to do a tutorial on how to use Tinkercad. This is the design program that we use for the 3D printer. So the first thing you'll do is just go to tinkercad.com, and I recommend creating a new account, so you can go to sign up for a free account and just fill that out through there. What I would do is create an account for your class so that you can save all the designs and only have one login and password. That just makes it a lot easier. So that's kind of, we use in here in Makerspace, we use just my account that I created and leave that one logged on for all the students to use. So once you sign in, what you'll do is you'll actually create an account, but I just went ahead and signed in. But they're a free account, so you can pretty much do what you need for the simple designs that we're going to do for these kiddos, that they can use the free account. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the easiest type of thing right now, and we're going to start with just designing just something simple that they can put their name on, so they could do like a keychain. So we're going to create a new design. And when we do that, let me go back, sorry. When you go to create a new design, it says it right here, create new design. And when you click on that, that pulls up your work plane. Now we said we were going to create a keychain, so we can make something super easy. If you look up here, this gives us like our work plane, like where we're going to put things. This is some shapes. These will put holes in it, so if you make the keychain, that'll put the little hole. Letters, numbers, and then just some symbols. So I'm going to go to the symbols and let's choose a star. So I'm going to click on the star, and you can either drag or you can just move your mouse over and then click where you want to put it on the work plane. So like right now it's chosen until, and it will move around until I click the work plane. So once I do that, I can place it there. Now I have some squares. All those squares, if I put my cursor there, is where I can resize it. So if I put it on the corner, it's going to resize it so it stays kind of proportioned. So I'm going to pull it out, and I want it to be big enough so that I can put my name on it. Now don't worry, if you make it too big, it's okay, because when you put it into the Dremel software, you can also scale it down to make it a little bit smaller. I'd rather it be bigger on here. Just make sure it stays on the work plane. But if it's bigger on here, then you have more room to work with. So then I can click on the A, and that's going to bring up my letters. Now these arrows over here are going to move my work plane around. So if I click up, it's going to kind of give me a straight on view. If I click down, I can look at the bottom of it. One thing I do want to point out is when you put it on there, it's going to put it on the work plane flat. But if you start manipulating it, it can go under the work plane. Now, obviously, if you do that, it won't print because it's not finding it. So if it ends up going under the work plane, you have this little cone shaped that's right above or below it, depending on where you look, and you can push it back up. When you do that, this is why it's good to move the work plane around. You can look around and see, okay, is it laying flat on there? And you can even click on it and select it from here. Notice my cone moves here, so then I can take it, and I want it to say 0, because 0 is going to be like completely flush with it. So that should work there. Okay, so now I'm going to take and choose the letters for my name. So I'm going to put an H, I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to move it over. Now notice my H doesn't show up. It's because it's not as thick as my star. So I'm going to click on my H kind of next to it, and then I can take my cone shape and raise it up. Once I raise it up, I'm going to kind of manipulate it to move it so then it fits. So now it will fit on my star. Now I can also take the little square right below the cone, the one in the middle. If I click and drag it up, I can make it thicker or I can make it thinner. Now keep in mind, if the kids are going to print something, we typically want to keep it to like 20 or 30 minutes for a print. If it's too thick, takes a really long time to print. So I always encourage them to kind of keep it a little bit thinner. And you can even make this star a little bit thinner. If it's too paper thin, it won't turn out as good, but it doesn't have to be super duper thick. So that works too. And you want to make sure that your letters are on here, and kind of like you have a little bit of thickness to them, because if it's just completely flush with it, it's all going to kind of turn out and look like a flat shape with no letters on it. Okay, so I'm going to click my E and put it on there. You notice the E shows up now because I made my star a little bit thinner, but then I can just take it and just lift it up just a little bit, and it gives me my numbers on the side. So like if I click on the H, I can see how tall it is. It's like 6 millimeters. So if I click on my E and click here, this one's only 4 millimeters. So I might want to lift it up so it can be like the same thickness. I'm also going to have to look around at it and say, okay, is anything sticking out of the bottom? Because remember, we want it to be completely flat. Now this is okay because it's kind of showing that it's flush with it, but if it were like down like this, it wouldn't print. So if it is doing that, you definitely want to take it and push it back in. All right. So let's say I'm done with all my letters, and you can take these, you can manipulate them any way you want. You can move them where you want. Just make sure that you're clicking on a place that's not in a square. If you click in the square, it's going to end up resizing it. The nice thing about that is there's an undo button here and a redo button, so you can fix it from there. You can also put numbers on here. So let's just say I'm going to put E3, so I can put my 3 on here and add it. So that's an easy way to just kind of label a shape, and if you wanted to make a keychain. So now I'm going to go to my holes, and I have a box hole and a cylinder hole. So that was right up here. So I can click on my cylinder hole and put that where I want the hole in my star. Again, I can take it, obviously it doesn't matter, it's a hole. It can kind of have a different, it can be a little bit thicker, but I always push it down just to make it look more what I want it to look like. And then I can also take the corners and I can resize it depending on how big I want that to be and move it to where I want it to go. And again, I'm going to use my arrows and click to make sure that my hole does go all the way through. So I can see it there, so we're good. Now if I want to get really close to it, I have my plus and my minus here, so I can plus and zoom in and minus to zoom out. So let's say I'm done with my design. I'm going to go straight to design, and then I can go to properties and name it. So I'm going to name this one Star Keychain, and then click Save Changes. Once I do that, it saves. Now keep in mind, if you click back, it's automatically going to save. It's kind of like Google products that it has an auto save on it, but it will be named kind of a strange name. So I kind of like to rename it so I'm able to find it. When I'm all finished with my design, I can go out and go down to design and then go to download for 3D printing and then click .stl. Once I do that, you see it gives me an STL file, and that's the file that we put in the Dremel software. So that will be a different tutorial, but this is the basics on how to create using Tinkercad. Thanks for listening.